How are you doing there? I hope you're doing fine because I have prepared for you a nice tutorial on speed ramping. You may ask, what is speed ramp? Why do I need to learn it? What use is in it? Well, it's a good thing that you are watching this video because I'm gonna answer all these questions just for you. Speed ramping, just as the name implies, is to modify the speed on how your footage is going to be played in the video. In other words, you can make your clips go from normal speed to slow motion, fast forward, and you can even make them go from the end back to the beginning. Sounds pretty cool, right? Now, what do you need to learn it? Well, speed ramp is a basic tool that can improve your videos exponentially. You just need to know how to use it and consistently experimenting with it. You have to know that before we start editing, you need to learn about recording your footage for speed ramping. For example, if you want to create a clip for slow motion, first you need to adjust your frame per second settings. Usually you record 24 frames for films, and for TV you use like 30 frames per second. But for slow motion, what you need to do is to shoot at least the double of the frames what you already use. So if you're using 30 frames, to add a little bit of the slow motion, you have to shoot at 60 frames per second. Now if you want to make that slow motion like more intense, like to last longer, you have to shoot like above like 120 frames per second at least, and you can do it like even above. Now, before you start shooting, you also need to adjust the shutter speed. The rules of exposure when shooting videos is that your shutter speed has to always be the double of your frames per second. So if you're shooting 24 frames per second, your shutter speed has to be 48. And if you're shooting at 60 frames per second, your shutter speed will be at 120. And for 120 frames per second, your shutter speed will be at least 240, and so on and so on. Now for the editing, there is like two methods. The simple method to create slow motion or speed things up is just by clicking the clip with the secondary button and go to speed duration. There you can choose the speed of the clip. If you put a lower number, it's gonna get slower, and if you put a higher number, it's going to get faster. Now for the second method, which I would recommend highly. First, we need to increase the size of our clip by holding the Alt key and scrolling in with the mouse wheel. Now we can see this line which shows our opacity, but we don't want to see the opacity. So to change this, we click with the secondary button and go to Show Clip Keyframes. Then we select Time Remapping and click on Speed. Now the line will be in the middle of the clip, and if we drag it up or down, it's going to affect on the speed of how it's going to be played. Now let's watch this clip. As you can see, this boy did a cool kickflip at the skate park. So how can we make this clip look way better so he can brag to his friends? Yeah, what we can do is, during the jump, we can add the slow motion there. To do that, we need to go to where we want the effect to start and to end. Then we hold the Ctrl key, and as you can see, the cursor icon changes, which means we can add an adjustment point for our time remapping. Once we set our beginnings and our end, now we can drag this little line to make the clip go slower. As a result, you can see that the length of the clip gets longer, which confirms that the video got slowed down. So let's play it. Now, listen here. Get closer. Do you want to know why it is called speed ramp? Do you really want to know? Well, check this out. It's because we can create a smoothing transition between these two different speeds. If we go where we created the adjustment point, if we hold this and we drag it, guess what happens? You just made a little speed ramp, baby. Now, let's do the same with the other end. Nice. Now, your slow motion should have a nice and smooth look. To make this effect look even better, you have to do the next step, which is very important, and for some people it's very hard to follow, but hear me out. The only thing you have to do is head down and press the subscription button and give a like to this video. Now, you have learned how to use the speed ramp, but now I'm gonna give you another example. I'm gonna teach you how to make when the clip finishes to go back to the beginning. Why do you need to learn that? I don't know, for dramatic purposes. You can make it for whatever you want. So let's see. What we're going to do is to make this clip go to a certain point and then head back to the beginning. As you can see, this video has already been edited and has a nice slow motion effect in it. As you can see, the clip is only 24 frames per second, so it confirms that it has already been edited and exported to be a slow motion video. So what we're going to do, we're going to repeat the procedure from before. So we head down here, we make this video layer bigger by holding the Alt key and scrolling the mouse wheel. Then we press with the secondary button, go to Show Clip Keyframes, Time Remapping, Speed. Now what we're going to do is to add 2 adjustment points, one for the beginning to speed up how the hammer falls, and one when we see the concrete below breaking so we can freeze it. Then we split the clip. What we do next is to raise the bar to add more speed, and because this slow motion is done with a nice camera, we really need to crank this up, so I'm gonna raise it to around 300. Now we need to stretch this point so it has a nice transition. Let's correct it a little bit to make sure that it is fast when the hammer hits the bottle. And then at the end, we're just gonna pull the line down to the lowest so it will eventually freeze. And also we'll remove the rest. Let's check. We add for the speed transition and what? Oh, what happened here? I'm not sure what happened, but if we press the home key, it should take us back to the beginning of the timeline. So there. Now to copy this clip, we just need to hold Alt key and drag it to the end. Next, we press it with the secondary button on this clip and go to Speed Duration and click on Reverse Speed. And that's it. You just learn how to do speed ramp. If you follow along with the tutorial and now you're working with your own video, please share it in the comments. I want to watch how it looks. And that's it. I see you in the next video. Bye bye.